Hi, everyone. Welcome to Art and Talk. If you're new to us, Art and Talk is all about meeting artists and being inspired. We invite traditional artists and we invite spiritual artists on board so we can bring you diverse and quality interviews to watch and to be inspired by. I'm Leslie Sue, the host for Art and Talk. Thank you so much for being with us today. Today, our guest is a multidisciplinary artist, and she really covers both the traditional arts as a jazz singer, as a musician, as a recording artist, and she's also involved in the visual arts. And she's also a spiritual artist as she is involved with sound healing, sound vibration, and she uses music and sound to help as a healing modality for autistic children. And she also has her own sessions where she works as a sound healer as well. So we have a lot to talk about, and I'm so excited to bring on our guest for today, Paloma Duenas. Paloma, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the invitation. I'm very excited to be here today.
Yeah, oh wow, we're so excited to have you here. So you're involved in many different creative fields. How would you like to just kind of share a little bit about your background and what's important to you with your music, with your sound vibration, and you're in a band, BraSoul, and you have the love of being a jazz singer and Brazilian music. So where would you like to start?
Yes, where do I start? Well, I am a human being. No, just kidding. I actually, when I was young, I never even thought I was going to be a musician. That was a call I felt really hard when I was like 19. Um, So it was, and I was born and raised in Mexico City. My parents were always bringing me to live concerts, exposing me to a lot of music, definitely a lot of exposure to music, which I really recommend to your children. Just cultural experiences, and that just took me to a path of like wanting to explore more in the humanistic side, like the psychology of it. And when I found out that there was a career called music therapy, I was like, oh, that's me. And it took me a little time to get to Berklee College of Music in Boston, Massachusetts. But I did, and I was blessed to, you know, study there. And that exposed me culturally to the whole world, literally. From the students, from the experiences, from the friends I made, from the exposure to other cultures and other kind of music. And it was very inspiring. So I am a Berklee College of Music graduate from music therapy and voice. And so as a vocalist, I always had like a thing for Brazilian songs and the way these jazz songs sounded in English. And then when I heard them in Portuguese, I was like, oh, whoa, like, whoa, what is this? And I really made an effort to learn the songs in Portuguese rather than English. And so that's always in the back of my head or in the back of my inspirational trunk, to call it something. And then I moved to Miami in 2001. And from then I started, I, I didn't really know how I was going to use the music therapy. It was just, I was going with the flow of the requirements. You need to graduate, you need to do a 6-month residency. And I did it in um, a home for geriatric patients, and I worked with Alzheimer's patients, and it was very interesting and very hard in certain ways. I was never into the mental health side of it, and I was born in a culture that is very music, medicine, traditional ways of using sound and instruments, and Mexico pre-Hispanic richness in everything, and especially in music, and the way Mayans or Aztecs or Mexicas were involved with the cosmos and the music in a like a planetary language kind of thing. Um, so I started working with the kids with I heard in the back of my mind the kids, and where were the kids? And the kids just started flowing in, and it was the kids with autism. And for many years I worked in several places, um, parallel becoming a visual artist, playing with photography, with drawing through college. I think the flow of this college inspiration and just like flow of information just exploded in creativity, and I became a photographer. Um, and I just explored those sides. A lot of my drawings came from when I was studying in Boston. And so then when I came here, I became a music therapist, and I got married. I married a Cuban American who was also a Berklee College of Music grad, my college sweetheart. And life happened, and it was great years of being a wife, of being a music therapist, just involved in my career and my personal life, um, until my husband unfortunately had leukemia and passed away. And I widowed. And after I widowed, of course, that changed my life. You know, everything changed for me. And I was very blessed to continue my path as a music therapist for kids with autism. And those kids gave me so much through everything I went through. And in kids in general, because I'm also a teaching artist. So working with organizations in public library system, with arts organizations here as a music therapist, I had the music therapy background. So they were like, oh, we need you, like help. There's all these kids coming into the system, and as we know, the population of kids with autism just exploded and has been exploding for years. So since I graduated until now, you know, numbers have been changing and changing and changing. And I think a few years ago, when I last checked, it was expected that in 2025, 1 out of 2 kids were going to be in the spectrum. So that's huge. And I think as a society, we're not still completely inclusive as it's needed, or it's going to be needed in the future, let alone now dealing with PTSD and everything that we have to go through and we'll have to talk about in the future. But that is a huge part of continuing to work with this population, because it was so interesting. I don't know if I'm talking too much. Stop me if you have any questions or anything you want to say. But through the treatment with these kids, I started using tuning forks. Tuning fork sound vibration therapy has always been in the back of my mind, because I met my acutonics teacher, and acutonics is the use of tuning forks. I have tuning forks here, and I can just explain real quick what this is. But I met my acutonics teacher, who is also a photographer, and we were exhibiting at a gallery together, and she told me, oh yeah, I am a Chinese doctor and I do acutonics and I teach the class, and you should learn it. And I was like, yeah. And it took me a few years to be ready to learn it. But when I learned about the tuning forks and I started using it with the kids, our lives changed. For them, my treatment changed with them. My understanding of them completely changed, and that just opened a huge door for me of what is really needed today. And I guess I was getting ready to what is happening today, of becoming and giving this kind of service and being more of service in this way. I still work with kids with autism, but my service to them has changed. As I said, I still work with kids in the community. I'm a teaching artist for the Bath Museum of Art here, and I do sensory art for toddlers, or I like early intervention. So my students are usually 6 and below. And I have a lot of students in the community that follow me through the years. So we're talking like 20 years later. Now, I love working with kids. That is my favorite population to work with. And it just, and the kids with autism, I will always be available and ready to jump in whenever it's needed from me, because those are my kids. I don't have any kids of my own, but definitely those are my kids, because I've served so many of them. I have students that are 22 now that I started teaching when they were 5. And it's just amazing. That's my kids. Those are my kids.
Yeah. Yeah, wow,
So,
you cover so much as a creative professional. Yeah, please explain the tuning forks.
because people usually have questions about this. So tuning forks is, as a musician, there's a tuning fork. Actually, this was my first photo of a tuning fork. This is the regular, hold on, tuning fork. Wait, can I,
I
let me
think
see.
if, yeah, if you sit back
Yeah,
down,
right
there we
there.
go. Yeah.
This is the tuning fork that musicians usually carry in their bag. That's a photo of mine that I took in college. And you tune your guitar with that. That will give you one note. It will vibrate, hit it, you vibrate, you hear it, and then you use your ear to tune your guitar. Now we have apps that tune the guitar, so we don't need that. But that's the principle of a tuning fork. Acutonics is the brand of these tuning forks, and they're meant to be used in the body, like acupuncture. Now, instead of needles, is sound vibration, but we use the medicine, in the Chinese medicine. You use the nadis, or the circuits, the meridians in the body, which is a lot of what I learned with these kids. Their meridians flow is different, and the way the energy flows in them, it's quite different. And working with sound vibration is a very safe, because it feels so good. They really loved it. They asked for it. They would do anything for them, and I got to do so much with these. And as I said, just learning through. And then I was like, I need people. I need to treat just regular people. And since I am an art vendor, so parallel to all this, I started, we have a huge arts community here in Miami, and Wynwood is definitely where a lot of it begun. There still is, but it has changed, just like everything in Miami. So I started selling a few of my photo prints and some necklaces, because I am crafty with my hands. So I had done some black clay necklaces. Black clay comes from a place in Mexico called Oaxaca. And my mom is from Oaxaca. And so I have stuff from Oaxaca, and I bought beads, and I was making necklaces. And I said, I will sell my art, my prints. They started like a Sunday market of artisans, of artists. And a friend of mine who is an amazing colleague artist, the Biscayne poet. If you don't know the Biscayne poet, you should interview him. He's another magical part of this creative society. But the Biscayne poet does poetry live on site. So you can find him in different places in Miami. So he was doing poetry there, and he's a good friend, and he's like, just come over and do it. It's just once a month. And I said, yeah, sure. Like, I brought my dog, and we had beers, and it was fun. And we just hang out. And I thought it would be something that I would just do once a month. Once a month became a store that is not only my photography, but it's recycled photography, recycled objects, it's recycled Frida Kahlo photography. Now it's become recycled Celia Cruz photography. It's just exploded into this other creative world that I started doing in events in Miami. Just not only once a month, but I started going to the art walk in Fort Lauderdale, and the one in West Palm Beach. And there's another artist friend that told me about this one in Wynwood. And then I did that for, I want to say now it's going to be 6 or 7 years, 6 years for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's online. Last year I stopped doing in-person events, but I am part of collectives of artists, of local artists, that we all exhibit or sell our things at these places. It's called Que Cool. So all the stuff we can link information to this, but it's called Que Cool with a K. And this collective has a store in Calle Ocho. He has 2 stores actually in Calle Ocho. They just opened a second one, and 1 store in Coconut Grove. And so I have a booth there where you can find everything I make, all the jewelry, masks, jackets, denim jackets, collaborations with other artists, all that you want. Frida Kahlo. I sell copal incense. It's all Mexican inspired, but since now I've been in Miami for so long, Celia Cruz and Maria Felix, which is a famous Mexican actress. She has amazing quotes. So I'm in love with her quotes and just her style and her energy. I think it's important for women now. And Celia, which has been a huge inspiration, and it is a huge inspiration for in this town, and as a musician, of course. So that's what it is about the tuning forks. Just put these down.
Yeah. Wow. I love your energy, Paloma, and your involvement in so many areas with your Paloma art, with your Brazilian love, jazz singing, and your healing through sound vibration and through music, healing others, healing autistic children, the sensory disorders as well. Could you touch upon a little bit with, you mentioned there was like a pivotal change working with the autistic children using, as we mentioned, music and sound as the healing modality. The tuning forks really started to change the way that you say you perceive the autistic children and the way that you were actually healing them as well. Can you kind of tap into a little bit about the changes that you saw, and then how did that heal the autistic children? Just kind of be a little bit specific with what you experienced.
Yeah, so when we're talking about the language of music and using it as an energy of alchemy, because that's really what it is. We're alchemizing, we're using different energies to turn on or off, and in acutonics, we use archetypal energy, so cosmic energy. So these tuning forks, the first set, there's many different ones. There's the the weighted ones, which is the ones I showed you. There's the high frequency ones, which these are only used, they're not used on the body, they're used on the air and the ether. Now we have all these studies about how, we have the the MRIs that measures the electromagnetics of your being. Now you don't need anything touching you. We know that field exists. That opens up a conversation of great depths, because I started perceiving these children not as, and trying to understand these children really help. Like, I'm educating them, this is therapy. I'm not trying to get them to work. I'm facilitating that too, if that is part of their program. But as a music therapist, then using sound vibration with them, it opened up like a perspective for me of them, not as disabled children. Okay, not as different, yes, different, of course, but in a non-verbal way almost. So in an energetic way. And I started questioning more like, what are you here for? What are you here, speaking of this children as energy beings that are here with us to share this world, and not getting in so much into the feelings of it's unfair, they're not included, the society doesn't know, people are just they're just judgmental all the time, the unfairness of single motherhood, of families getting dissolved and destroyed because these children sometimes, or the bonding of parents that are there no matter what. And it's difficult because sometimes it's physical and it's painful, and there's a lot that these children and these families go through, that nobody really knows except the community. And so working through many years because as we work with any child in this community, you're working with families, you're working with the mother and the father and the environment that child is with or without autism, just in general. In general, I work and hears these 5-year-olds tell me things that I wish their parents, turn off your phone, Your child needs you, you know? We're here. We need that they need your presence. And so going back to the kids with autism, I started like hearing a different message from them. You know, like me asking, why are you here? Why is so much resistance? You don't need to hit yourself. You don't need to, you know, and or if you don't speak, like what do you want? How can I help you? How can I assist you? And their their role in this world is huge, and I don't really know if society or even their parents are ready to understanding it, to understand them in a more multidimensional perspective, basically. And so that is how my life changed. Now I started understanding the physical body as in a multidimensional way. And so sessions begun, and I was like, I need bodies, I need people. And I started vending and offering what I created for the kids with autism, because the kids with autism cannot lay down on a table for an hour or even 20 minutes. So I created these mini sessions where I was going to just put the forks in different places, and 10, 15 minutes, whatever, standing up, laying down on the floor, kneeling, whatever, however I could. And they started looking at me come with the tuning forks and being like, ready. I was like, okay, allowing no resistance at all. Actually, the nonverbal ones will become verbals and ask for the tuning forks and be like, here, I want more. I have videos of my students being at the dinner table in the restaurant, grabbing the actual eating forks and going like this and putting it in their ears, and the mom recording it, laughing out loud, like, Paloma, what is this? They're saying you that they're you, and they're imitating you, and they're grabbing the forks. Like, what's up with that? And so, yeah, it works. It is like a chill pill, like an energetic chill pill. And so in 15 or 20 minutes, I could just like bring down the stress levels so that people could actually just feel the vibrations and learn how that feels. So like a little demo. And I would like tune you up a little bit so that you can continue your day, but definitely this is treatment. And the more I learn about it, because there's levels to it, and I'm just in the beginner's levels right now. I'm like third year of learning, and now I have more instruments too, and learning how other instruments. So it's been quite a journey of years of being a clinical music therapist by the book, how we're supposed to be in the American culture, having a Mexican background of knowing how that culture uses sound as medicine, and then in my practice with children with autism, with people. So that was the end of 2019 when I started doing more of like in person, crystal quartz bowls, sound healings, more of like meditation kind of, vibes. Right now, I've always been a Kundalini student, and I love to do Kundalini, but right now I'm training to be a teacher, and I want to include all of that, like it's just in a holistic kind of way of using sound. But what sessions became all 2020 was an online offering of sound meditations. And my intention is to provide a space where people can perceive themselves within, because there's so much happening outside. There's so many opinions, there's so many perspectives, there's so many worlds right now that we have to find our own. And what we were talking earlier, I really think that in general, just humanity needs to tap into their creativeness. We have to find solutions that we've never seen before. We have to probably create things that we've never thought before. We want the world to change. and things are moving on. Things are moving on. And so last year especially, it was like, oh, when are we going to go back to normal? If right now you're watching this and you feel that the world is going to go back to the normal, you need to wake up. You need to snap out of it, because what's happened has changed everything, and we are starting to see what those changes were. That was the reset. Now we're moving on into a new world, into a new era, into a new book, into a new you, into a new me, into a new system that we want, into a new health that we want, into a new education that we need, so all these things that we all need to come up with. It's not going to fall in our laps. So we have to turn off the TV and start doing, And so becoming safe and still growing as a business and as a musician and as a healer or as a teacher, I do a lot from home now. So I teach kids online, and I have like ukulele offerings, for example. I teach art, I teach mindfulness in a platform called Outschool, which I totally recommend for people that want to, there's a lot of platforms now where we can teach online. And last year I saw something on the news about a girl that was an artist that started teaching in this platform. And I was like, well, check it out. And I became a teacher, and that's how I work from home. So that worked out for me. I think we all have to get aligned with that creative side to start finding the solutions for yourself. Paloma, how did you transition? Well, I was ready to transition. I was not holding on to the past. I learned how to let go of that past long time ago. And so that's what helped me, and that's how I can help you now. Just get with it. And like now, so because of acutonics, now learning a lot about the planets and how the planets work and how the energies, and going back to the kids with autism, by the way, I started also realizing that these kids are very sensitive. And of course, we know how the full moon affects us in general as a community. And if you don't know, ask a nurse, how is the ER on a full moon? They'll be able to tell you. If you notice, when you get sick, everything happens overnight. And the next morning is when, at least I found, the kidney stone, or the next morning is when you get the sore throat, or the next morning. It's always overnight, and nighttime is the highest. So trying to understand this children's sensitivity to these things, I started observing more what's going on in the cosmos. Oh, okay, full moon. And then there was some days when I was like, what is going on with you guys? Like, full moon is gone. Why are you like this? Like, what is going on? And I'm talking like unreasonable tears and laughter, things that I was like, and I work with these kids for many years, so I get to know them well, like as a personalities. I was like, okay, you are this person, but today there's something off. What is going on? I need to know. And I learned about solar flares and how the solar flares affect the electromagnetic field of our Earth, and how the solar flares affect these children because they're so sensitive, and their flow of energies, and the way they eat, and the way they process foods, and their toxicity. And it's like, oof, all these things that I learned through them. I'm so grateful for all these children. Seriously, as I talk about them, it just fills my heart with joy and gratitude, because people are telling me, oh, your job is so awesome. Yes, it is, but it is something that goes and it comes back. So we give each other, we give each other, and I love dearly all of these children. So I started looking at the cosmos a little more, and I started realizing, not being an astrologer, but there's a lot of people now doing a lot of energetics and astrology in the different ways. There's as superficial as, here's the horoscope and this is what's going to happen according to today, to these are the planets, this is what's happening, this is how the Aztecs and the old ancestors thought. They knew how these things work. They knew, oh, they're serious and it's aligning, and so, okay, we're going to put some pyramids here, and how do they put these pyramids? We still don't know. So there's a lot of energetics that they used and they understood that we forgot as a humanity. And now using vibration as therapy is like, whoa, it's always been there. Always been there. We've used our the vibration of our voice since long time ago. That's nothing new. And when I do home sessions, I always tell people everything that I'm going to tell you or that I do, it's nothing new. This is just me, like another musician playing another instrument, interpreting my perspective of life. But if we talk about music as a universal language, it really is deep to show you where we come from. Who are we? What are we here for? Why am I a creative being doing all these things and expressing myself in so many ways? When I've heard many times through my career, no, but you should just focus on one, Paloma. You know, in Spanish, there's a saying, el que mucho abarca poco aprieta, and it's like you cannot do everything. You have to focus on one thing. And I disagree. I think I'm very happy expressing myself as a visual artist, as a musician, as an educator, as just a creative soul. And that has given so much richness to my life and my career that, yeah, it took me years to get to know myself like this. It took me years to put everything together in one website so that I could say, look, this is who I am. But I cannot just talk about one, evidently, there's a lot of parts to it. Let me have a sip of tea. And then we can talk about BraSoul, because at the end, BraSoul is how you found me, right? How did you find BraSoul?
Yeah, well, the Norton After Dark series, Norton Museum is a major museum here in South Florida, in case anybody doesn't know. And yeah, so I saw one of your performances, and not live, it was recorded, and I was like, wow, and I was really inspired. And so that's kind of how the ball started to roll. And I love all that you're sharing and moving into this space of openness and multidimensional reality and energy and sound and vibration, pulling in the beautiful Mexican culture and heritage and wisdom of the ancients, and all the healing that you're providing with autistic children, and then others that come to you as well. You're teaching. I mean, it just really, it's amazing, and I'm so grateful for all that you're sharing. So yeah, I would definitely like to talk about BraSoul, but before we get into that, would you be open to doing just a little sound vibration so we can get like a little taste of what that's like?
Yes. So my latest instrument acquisition is this beauty. You can see an ohm in there.
Yes.
So this is a Hikuri drum. The Hikuri, I have another Hikuri, but this one, so the Hikuri is usually like this. Hikuri shape is like a little, ball. So usually the cuts for the notes are on top, and that's how it plays. It's like a hang drum. But the maker of Hikuri, and Hikuri is a combination of a hang drum, which is the one that people know that like it looks like a UFO and you hit it with the fingers, mixed with Mexican Aztec pre-Hispanic instrument called a teponashli. Teponashli was two-note cuts on a bamboo, and it was just two notes, but the cuts look like an H, so the notes look like a cutting somewhat like that. And so the maker of Hikuri got stuck in Nepal, I guess, for the for the pandemia, and he started making hikuris Tibetan style. So they turned it over, so now it's like a bowl in combination with the cuts of the notes. So we'll just do play a little bit so you can hear this beauty. I'm gonna get a little closer here.
that was so beautiful. The vibrations and the sounds were so centering. I could just receive it and feel it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Yeah, it's very magical. So it's fresh. Like it just came like a couple of weeks ago, like 2 weeks ago. And these hikuris, as they make them, they say just like the hikuri, it's meant to find you. You need to meet the drum. When I bought my first hikuri, they were like, "You don't play the drum. You allow the drum to play you."
Mm.
And I was like, oh, okay, you need to spend some time with them and get to know them. But it's been quite a journey with this one for sure.
Mhm. Oh, I love that, developing that relationship and kind of knowing in essence, kind of like who's in charge, so to speak, or just kind of like letting go and relinquishing control, so to speak, to kind of really kind of merge into that space.
Yeah, yeah. It's like any guitar player needs to spend some time playing the guitar. Or like I tell the kids that I teach ukulele, I teach ukulele because everybody has a ukulele in their house and nobody knows how to play it. So it's easy, it's fun. A ukulele is light, but the part where everybody crashes to become a musician, and that's speaking of adults and young, is when it starts getting into the you have to go a little deeper kind of process where you have to spend more time with the ukulele. And so they start slacking there and they start realizing, oh, I'm not advancing that much. It's starting to get boring. And then people drop out of the piano, drop out of whatever they were doing. So I think spending time with the instrument and enjoying it, it's part of a process. It's like it's like a new friend. You have to spend some time to get to know each other.
Mhm. Yeah, that's a
That's
great
how I put it for
analogy.
them. That's
Yeah.
how I put it for them so that they understand they need to spend willingly, not forcing children, but willingly spend some time practicing.
Mhm. Yeah. Let's talk about your Brazilian.
Oh, so Brazilian jazz.
I'd like to pull up a picture so everybody could kind of see the
Yes.
numbers, and we'll have you talk about it. Give me just a second. Okay.
Yes, those are my ride or dies. They're my brothers. They're so in the guitar is Marcelo Rosauro. Marcelo was born in Brasilia, and his dad is an amazing Brazilian faculty and local artist. That he lives on and off of Brazil, but Ray Rosauro is quite a legend in this community. And on the pandeiro is Brian Potts, who is a doctor in um, in Brazilian percussion. And he's an amazing, amazing musician. Not only that, but he's like super humble and cool. And he is the director of what is the Miami Bloco. And Miami Bloco is a community-based samba, batucada, uh, just group. So we meet anybody in the community that wants to join Bloco can join. And if you're watching this and you're curious, go to find Miami Bloco in Instagram and join the community and come play. And we play, and he teaches us how to play batucada. And so sometimes we perform, sometimes we just play. And so these two guys are the ones that have been with me for a while now. We've been doing BraSoul together for like 7 years. And BraSoul, so BraSoul is this project, live music, Brazilian songs. Um, because we all love Brazilian music, Marcelo plays with many different bands and he plays all kinds of music, but of course his Brazilian roots are always there. And I love me a Brazilian guitar player because they really understand how all this music really works. Not that there's not many amazing jazz guitar players in this town, but it's like there's something in their blood. Okay. Which Brian has trained for years, and he goes to Brazil every year and he does carnaval over there. He has collaborators over there. So he's also very well versed in the Brazilian world of music. And so I learned everything through them, and they helped me, bring about this joy and dream of mine, because my intention of doing BraSoul is because, as I said, I widowed. And in my process of recovering from widowhood, I've always been a singer and enjoyed singing but I happened to be praying or like, being in church and wanting to sing, and I couldn't. My throat completely shut down. For many, many years, I had to really work and literally pray to God, like, okay, so I am the one alive, and if I'm a singer and I'm supposed to sing and share through my singing, like, you have to help me, because I don't know what, I can't get rid of this knot. I need help with this. And so I started in my own healing path. Uh, yeah, because losing a loved one was very intense at a really young age. So that was, a process of life. And it just, I literally surrendered my life to the Great Spirit, and I was like, okay, use me, because I don't know why I'm here there. Like, I thought I was going to be married and have kids. Evidently that was not it. So what am I here for? I just, I want more. And so in that healing process, I had the opportunity to sing a couple of songs with a local band, a local Brazilian band, and they hired me to do a jazz fest in Haiti, and I went with them, and I just was in love with that energy. I was like, oh, I want more. And they had their own singer, that only that the singer couldn't travel to Haiti to do this gig with them, and it was my first gig after so many years of not doing anything live. So sure, slowly but surely, I started like wetting my feet into this rhythms and songs, and it just became very inspiring and very healing, to the point that I was like, I need more. I want more. I really wanted more, more, more. And so I met a lot of beautiful, amazing musicians and Brazilian artists. And I think living in Miami has given me the opportunity to meet these people. We're such a diverse community that everybody's there, the Peruvians, the Brazilians, what do you want? We're all here, Mexicans, maybe we're not a lot of, this might be the only place where there's not a lot of us here, but there's a lot of other stuff. There's a lot of other cultures. And so I met the right people, evidently, and that's why I've been able to sing these beautiful songs and have this project for such a long time. I don't inspire, I'm not to be like the super famous or like the winning Grammy. I have a lot of friends that are amazing songwriters, and my husband was a music producer, and I know people in that world. And not that I don't want that, but it's like, that's not why I do it for. I do it because I love that energy. I love to sing these songs. I learn the language through the music. Everything I know through the music, which explains how rich the culture of Brazil is, how vast and rich, just like the Mexican, but in a different world. So being Latin Americans, even speaking a different language, we could relate in so many ways with these Brazilian friends. And I don't speak perfect Portuguese, but I can manage a conversation. And a lot of people, when I sing, they think I am Brazilian, and I love it. I'm grateful that I can do a good job with it, because it has been also a whole process of learning these songs, not knowing the language, not learning the rhythms. That's why I'm part of Miami Bloco too, because I feel that really helps me with the rhythms and the keeping, playing all these instruments is also helpful to understand the more of the music and the complexity of the Brazilian rhythms and the music. Mm-hmm.
Your passion and as I mentioned before, Paloma, your energy and just your innovation and your openness is so inspiring, and all that you're sharing about your journey is really very touching. We do need to wrap up the show. We'll of course provide links. We didn't have a chance to show
A
your
video.
your band BraSoul. I've watched them, and you guys are amazing. So we'll provide the link so that everybody can check that out. And so as we wrap up the show, Paloma, thank you so much for your service work to, and all that you're doing to heal others and to go within and all that you advocate and promote and your great wisdom and insight. So as we close out the show, we always have our guests provide the closing comments. So we'll just let you close out the show however you would like.
Wow. Well, so after all of that said, my last comments to anybody watching would be thank you for watching until the end. Thank you for your attention and your time and the invitation again, Leslie. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak through your show. And join me to tap into your creative self. Join me to find the answers within yourself. To not try to make these changes happen from the outside. No change that you really want is going to come from the outside. It's all going to come from within. And so that takes a little while, and that is a process. And if you are not there, start it. It's not too late. But if you haven't started it, bye. And if you are in the process of changing, of transformation, of renovation, if you are for life, if you are for change that's beneficial to all, for change that we want to see outside, find me and we can do this together. So thank you again.
That's beautiful, Paloma. Let us know how we can stay connected with you with your social media.
Well, there's a lot of channels. So Paloma Store, all one word, is where you'll find the store, and in the bio you'll find links to OM Sessions, which is OHM Sessions. You'll find also the profile to BraSoul, and BraSoul is BraSoul.com, or BraSoul Music Official in Instagram. And yeah, I have a link there in the IG, in the Instagram, where you can find how to sign up into the newsletter, and that would be the easiest and fastest way to get through to me. I'm always available on the chats, on the direct messages. I am the one in charge of them all, so that's part of the job.
Thank you so much, Paloma, for being our
Again.
guest today on Art and Talk and sharing your music, your musical journey, your healing journey, and how you're healing others, and your inspiration to be a creative professional. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Thank you, everyone, for watching Art and Talk and being with us today. And we'll talk soon on the next Art and Talk. Until then, be well and be blessed.